Welcome, dear students, to the first class on molecular endocrinology. So, molecular endocrinology, as you can see, it's based on your hormones. So, you feel excited, you feel happy, you feel sad, sometimes you feel crazy. So, all of this is caused due to your hormones. So, we have happy hormone days in front of us. So, we'll be going as per the syllabus. So we'll start with module 1. And endocrinology can be defined as a branch of physiology and medicine that is concerned with endocrine glands and hormones. So what you are studying is molecular endocrinology, which is a brand of endocrinology that is concerned with the physico-chemical properties of molecules in cells located in and or related to the endocrine glands. In short, it is a mechanism of action of the hormones. So the hormones are a class of signaling molecules that are produced by glands in multicellular organisms, transported through the circulatory system to target distant organs to regulate physiology and behavior. So the functions of endocrine system: maintain internal homeostasis. Example is aldosterone and parathyroid hormone. Support cell growth by growth hormone. Coordinates the development of the body by the thyroid hormones. Coordinates reproduction by the sex hormones. Facilitate responses to external stimuli. Example, insulin and glucagon, which creates a response inside your body based on external stimuli. So these are the different hormone producing glands. You can see that a number of organs are involved, even the liver, the ovary, the placenta, the thymus. So there are a number of endocrine glands which are present in your body, and each produces different set of hormones. So the hormones can broadly be classified into steroidal hormones and non-steroidal hormones. The steroidal hormones include adrenal-corticoid hormones and sex hormones. Sex hormones, as you know, there are female sex hormones and male sex hormones. The non-steroidal hormones include peptide hormones, amino acid derivatives, and miscellaneous, which cannot be added in these two groups. So we'll start with the history of endocrinology. So the first recorded experiment is by Berthold in 1849 in castrated cockerels. So cockerel is nothing but the young of a cock, not of a hen, it's the young of a cock. So the cockerel will grow up to become a male cock. And in the experiment, they created three different groups. In the first group, what they did was castration. Castration is removal of your sex gland or sex organ. So they castrated in the first group, and the cockerel grew up to become a hen, that is a female hen. In the second group, what they did was they castrated the cockerel and then transplanted it back into its own body. So the cockerel grew up to become a cock, that is a male chicken. Third group is they castrated the cockerels and transplanted it back, but not to its own body, but to another animal or another cockerel. Not animal, sorry, another cockerel. Again, they both of the cockerels grew up to become a cock. So that means that the sex organ is important in determining the sex of the cock or the hen. Second set of experiments was by Sterling and Bayliss in 1902, and their hypothesis was the activity of the digestive tract may be regulated independent of signals from the brain. So something that we've learned from our smaller classes is that the brain controls all your signals. You feel hungry because the brain tells you that you're hungry, right? You feel not hungry because the brain tells you that you're not hungry. So in this experiment, what they did was they anesthetized a dog and opened its intestine, exposing a small part of the small intestine. And they cut out the nerves which connects from the brain to the intestine, to and from the intestine. So naturally, because the nerval connection has been cut, the small intestine should not be producing any hormones. But what they did was they injected a solution of HCl. They injected a solution of HCl directly into the lumen of the exposed region of small intestine, and then later they collected the sample that is coming out of it. So what they found was there was traces of digestive enzymes and bicarbonate. So as you can understand, the bicarbonate is produced in response to HCl to neutralize the presence of acid. That is a normal process that is done during your digestion. And digestive enzymes will help in digesting your food material. So without the nerval connection itself, the digestive tract has produced digestive enzymes. So this indicated that there was something else which was triggering this effect. And it's not your brain or a nerve connection. So they introduced the term hormone to indicate the substance that is causing this. So that was the history of endocrinology. So these are the major milestones in endocrinology. You have several Nobel Prize winners. So the most recent is in 2000 for the synaptic transmission and signal transduction. So we'll start with the classification of hormones, and there are different types of classification. One is based on chemical nature, second on solubility properties, third on origin of hormone, four on nature of action, five on the location of receptor, six on the nature of signal to mediate hormone action. So as I said earlier, this is the classification based on the chemical nature. So you have steroidal and non-steroidal hormones. Non-steroidal hormones include proteins, glycoprotein, eicosanoids, peptides, amino acid derivatives. So these are the different types of non-steroidal hormones. Second is based on solubility properties. That is very easy, water soluble hormones and lipophilic hormones. So the peptide hormones are usually water soluble, and because they are water soluble, your body is has an aqueous environment, so it is not bound to any protein, but the lifetime is less. So it becomes easily removed from your system. Whereas lipophilic hormones are solubilized only with binding with other substances because you have an aqueous environment. So that is usually a receptor hormone complex. And because there is a complex involved, it prevents unwanted excretion, so the lifetime will be more. The third classification is based on the origin of hormones, like which gland produces the hormone. So you have hypothalamic hormones, you have thyroid hormones, you have cardiac hormones. So every hormone is classified based on where it originates. The fourth classification is based on the nature of action. So we have three different types of hormones: general hormones, local hormones, and specific hormones. So general hormones, as the name suggests, it has a general action on almost all the body tissues. Example is growth hormone, thyroid hormone, and insulin. Local hormones at the same time acts locally at the site of production. Example is prostaglandins, acetylcholine, histamine. Specific hormones affect functions of specific organs. Example, FSH or follicle stimulating hormone, which, as the name suggests, acts on the follicle, right? So the follicle is in the ovary. So it acts only on the ovary. It doesn't act on the kidney. It won't act on the blood cells. So it only acts on the ovary. Androgens act on the male sex organs. So there is a specific area for the hormone to function. So this is a figure which indicates the target of the hormones. So the first is the circulating hormones or endocrines, which are secreted in an endocrine cell, sorry, synthesized in an endocrine cell, secreted into the circulatory system, travels through the circulatory system to a target cell that is at a distance. So that's why it's called endocrine. The second group is the local hormones, which are called paracrine hormones or and autocrine hormones. So the paracrine hormone or the paracrine cell produces hormones which acts on the target cell that is nearby to it. It doesn't have to go into the circulatory system to act on its target cell. Autocrine cells act on the same cell, act in the same cell that produces it. So these are the different types: endocrine, paracrine, and autocrine. The next classification is based on location of receptors, that is intracellular receptors and cell surface receptors. The intracellular receptor, as the name suggests, is found inside the cell and it is required for steroid hormones, thyroid hormones, and corticoid hormones. The cell surface receptors are important or required for polypeptides, proteins, catecholamines, and they can be subclassified based on the type of second messenger that is generated. The last classification is based on nature of signal to mediate hormone action. That is, it generates cyclic AMP as second messenger, generates cyclic GMP as second messenger, generates calcium or phosphatidylinositol or both. And the last group is generates kinase or phosphatase cascade. So we'll be looking into this in detail as the course goes on. So the general features of hormone classes: group 1 and group 2. Group 1 is a lipophilic group, group 2 is a hydrophilic group. So group 1, because it is lipophilic, it requires transport proteins. has a longer plasma half-life. The receptor is found in an intracellular location and it produces a receptor hormone complex which stabilizes the hormone. The group 2 is a hydrophilic hormones and does not require transport proteins, has a shorter half-life, and the receptor is present on the plasma membrane, and the action is mediated with the help of second messengers.